I never thought I'd be sitting in a BMW dealership watching my brother test drive his 4th luxury car while I calculated how many more months I could nurse my failing Honda Civic before it died completely. But there I was, pretending to smile while Preston revved engines and our parents cooed over his excellent taste. My name is Sarah, and I've spent 28 years being the family's backup plan. The responsible one, the reliable one, the one who gets called when Preston needs a ride at 3 a.m. because he's too drunk to drive his own expensive car home. "Sarah, honey, come look at this interior." My mother waved me over, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the showroom lights. "Wouldn't this be perfect for Preston's wedding arrival?" I nodded, the same way I'd nodded through every major family decision that somehow always centered around my older brother. The same way I'd nodded when he got a full ride to college while I took out loans. The same way I'd nodded when he borrowed my first car and totaled it with no consequences. "It's nice," I said, running my hand along the leather seat. "But isn't it a bit much? The wedding's already costing—" "Nothing's too much for your brother's special day," Dad cut in, his voice carrying that familiar edge of warning. "Preston works hard. He deserves this." Preston emerged from the test drive, his future wife, Lucia, clinging to his arm like designer ivy. "It handles like a dream," he announced. "But the payments—" "We'll figure something out," Mom said quickly. "As a family." Those words should have warned me. 3 days later, they called a family meeting at their house. I arrived straight from work, still in my marketing agency blazer, while Preston lounged in designer sweats. Lucia perched on the arm of his chair, scrolling through her phone. "Sarah," Dad began, using his boardroom voice, "we need to discuss your contribution to the wedding." I blinked. "I already offered to help with the decorations and—" "We mean financially," Mom interrupted, reaching for my hand. I pulled back before she could touch me. "Sweetie, we know you've been struggling with your career choices, but family helps family. We need you to sell your car," Dad said flatly. "The money will help cover Preston's wedding transportation." The room went silent. Even Lucia looked up from her phone. "My car?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. "But I need it for work. I can't—" "It's just a used Civic," Preston said, shrugging. "You can take the bus. Lots of people do." "That beater might cover napkins," Lucia added with a smirk. "If we're lucky." I stared at them, these people who shared my blood but never my worth. My car wasn't much, but it was mine, paid for with my money, maintained with my savings, the only thing I owned outright. "You're not serious," I said. "Very serious," Dad replied. "Preston needs our support right now. You understand that, don't you?" I looked at my mother, searching for any sign of protection. She avoided my eyes, suddenly fascinated by her manicure. "When?" I asked. "The dealer can take it tomorrow," Preston said, already pulling out his phone. "I'll have my guy handle the paperwork." My throat burned with words I couldn't say, with screams I'd been swallowing since childhood, with the rage of 1,000 small injustices leading to this moment. The next morning I signed over my car. Preston didn't even come to drive me home. Mom called an Uber telling me to keep the receipt for reimbursement. I never saw that money. That night I sat in my apartment, surrounded by bus schedules and rideshare calculations. My phone buzzed with a text from Preston. "Thanks, sis. Knew you'd come through." I stared at those words until they blurred, until they transformed from letters into fuel, until they sparked something that had been waiting 28 years to ignite. They thought my silence meant surrender. They thought my compliance meant acceptance. They thought wrong. Opening my laptop, I created a new folder, named it Wedding Gift. Then I opened my banking app and started taking screenshots of every loan, every payment, every financial favour I'd ever done for Preston. This time, silence didn't mean surrender. This time, it meant war. "Girl, you're not going to believe what I found," Emily whispered, sliding into the chair next to my desk. It was lunch hour at the marketing agency, but my appetite had vanished the moment I saw the folder in her hands. As our company's financial analyst, Emily had access to public records that most people didn't know existed. When I told her about my car, she didn't just sympathise, she got angry. Then she got busy. "Your parents took out a second mortgage 3 months ago," she said, spreading documents across my desk. "Guess what for?" I scanned the paperwork. Preston's down payment on a vacation home in the Hamptons. Bingo, and that's not all. She pulled up more records on her tablet. They've been systematically draining their retirement accounts. The withdrawals match perfectly with Preston's major purchases over the last 5 years. My hands shook as I added the documents to my growing digital archive. They told me they couldn't help with my medical bills last year because they were being financially responsible. "Oh, it gets better," Emily said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Check your old college fund account." I logged into the long dormant account and my stomach dropped. "It's empty. How, that necklace Lucia's been flaunting, the one Preston supposedly designed for her?" "Yeah, that's where your education money went." I felt sick but not surprised. It was just another verse in the same old song. "Sarah," Marcus from the creative team appeared at my cubicle. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I said automatically, but Emily cut in. "She's not fine. Her family's toxic waste, and we're building a case." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "A case?" "For the wedding slideshow," I explained, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "I'm making a special presentation." Understanding dawned in his eyes. He pulled up a chair. "Need any help?" That afternoon, I created a systematic approach to gathering evidence. Emily taught me how to document everything properly. Marcus helped me organise it all into clear, devastating categories: financial abuse, emotional manipulation, property theft. "Your brother's Instagram is a goldmine," Marcus said, scrolling through Preston's feed. "Every time he posts about a self-made success, there's a paper trail showing your parents' money behind it." I was screenshotting text messages when a new one arrived from Lucia to her friend. My blood ran cold as I read it. "OMG, you won't believe what Preston's sister did. Gave up her car for our wedding transport. Like, she's literally the family's emotional handmaid. So pathetic." Emily read it over my shoulder and swore. "Add it to the folder." "Which one?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "Retaliation." That evening I stayed late at the office, cross-referencing dates and amounts. Marcus brought me coffee without asking. "You know," he said carefully, "revenge won't fix what they did." "I'm not looking to fix anything," I replied, adding another screenshot to my collection. "I'm looking to expose everything." My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I put it on speaker. "Sarah, honey, we need you to come help with wedding favours this weekend. Preston's too busy with work, and Lucia has her spa appointments." "Sure, Mom." I watched Emily mime gagging. "What time?" "Early, and bring those nice boxes from your craft supplies. The ones you were saving for your own wedding someday." I caught Marcus wincing. "Of course, Mom. Anything for family." After hanging up, I pulled up the final tally of everything I'd given up for Preston over the years. The number made Emily whistle. "You could have bought a house with that money," she said. "Instead, Preston has 3, I replied, adding another folder, tax evasion evidence. "But don't worry, I'm about to give him something much more valuable." "What's that?" I smiled, thinking of the wedding slideshow I was meticulously crafting. "The truth. That night, as I waited for my bus home, I got a text from Lucia. "Those boxes better not be cheap ones from Target. This is a luxury wedding, not your sad little craft projects." I added the screenshot to my collection, then typed a reply. "Don't worry, Lucia, I'm putting together something special, just for you." Marcus texted moments later. "Need a ride home?" "No thanks," I replied. "I'm getting used to the bus. Gives me time to work on my wedding gift." The bus arrived, and as I climbed aboard, I thought about how my whole life had been spent making room for Preston's dreams. Now it was time to make room for something else. Justice. Opening my laptop, I created a new document titled Wedding Slideshow, The Real Preston Story. The best part, every single word would be true. "You're looking quaint today," Lucia said, stirring her third mimosa at the trendy brunch spot she'd chosen for our sisterly bonding. Her Cartier watch caught the light as she gestured at my outfit. "At least you tried," I smiled, adjusting my phone on the table so its camera faced her perfectly. "Thanks for inviting me, Lucia. It means a lot." "Well," Preston insisted, "he says we need to make more of an effort with you." She sighed dramatically. "Though honestly, I don't see the point. It's not like you'll be in the inner circle photos anyway." My recording app silently captured every word. "Inner circle photos?" I asked innocently. "The important ones. You understand?" She waved down a waiter. "More champagne, please. And she'll have water. That's all you can afford, right?" I nodded, letting her dig her grave deeper. "Money's tight since the car." "God, that car!" Lucia laughed. "Preston told me it was probably the only useful thing you've ever owned. I mean, at least it contributed to something meaningful, right?" The waiter returned with our drinks. I took a sip of water, buying time to keep my voice steady. "How did you and Preston meet again? I'd love to hear the story." Lucia launched into her favourite topic, herself. As she talked, I kept the recording running, catching every subtle dig, every backhanded comment. When she mentioned Preston's investment success, I asked just the right questions to make her brag about the vacation home my parents' retirement funded. "It's just so refreshing," she said, "finding a man who knows his worth. Preston never lets family hold him back. He told me he only has one sibling biologically. Emotionally, he's an only child." I forced a laugh. "That's funny." "Isn't it? Oh, speaking of funny, your mother showed me your old prom photos yesterday. I didn't even know they made dresses in that size." My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "How's Operation Record the Witch going?" "Perfectly," I typed back while Lucia was distracted by her reflection in a spoon. "She's giving me gold." "Sarah," Lucia's sharp voice cut in, "are you even listening? I was saying how generous Preston and I are, letting you help with the wedding despite your limitations." "So generous," I agreed, pressing record again. "Tell me more about the wedding plans." 2 hours and 4 mimosas later, Lucia had given me enough material to fill an entire section of my presentation. As she stumbled to her Uber, she called back, "Don't forget, you're in charge of the welcome bags. Nothing cheap." I waited until her car disappeared before pulling out my phone. "Emily, we're going nuclear. I need editing help." That evening, I spread my evidence across my apartment floor. Marcus had come over to help organise it, bringing takeout and his expertise in presentation design. "Look at this text thread," he said, pointing to his laptop screen. "Your mum literally wrote, 'Don't tell Sarah about the college fund transfer. She wouldn't understand how important Preston's gift to Lucia is.' Add it to the parents' betrayal segment," I said, passing him another container of noodles. "Right after the medical bills they refused to help with." My phone rang, Preston calling. I put it on speaker. "Sarah, Mum says you had lunch with Lucia today. Wasn't she amazing?" "So refined." "Absolutely amazing," I replied, watching Marcus roll his eyes. "She really helped me understand my place in everything." "That's great. Listen, we need you to handle the welcome bags and guest favours. Lucia has very specific requirements. I'm texting you the list now." The list arrived. Imported chocolates, artisanal soaps, monogram towels. The total would cost more than my monthly rent. "No problem," I said. "Anything for family." After hanging up, Marcus looked at me seriously. "You okay?" "Never better." I opened my laptop to the wedding slideshow draft. "Want to see what I've done so far?" We spent the next hour fine-tuning transitions between bank statements and text screenshots. Each slide was perfectly timed, each revelation more damning than the last. "This is going to destroy them," Marcus said quietly. "They destroyed themselves," I replied. "I'm just showing the receipts." My phone buzzed again, a group text from Mom. "Family dinner tomorrow. Sarah, please dress appropriately. Lucia's parents will be there." "Wouldn't miss it," I texted back. Marcus helped me pack up the evidence, carefully storing everything in encrypted files. As he headed for the door, he paused. "You know there's no going back after this, right?" I thought about my empty bank account, my bus passes, my craft supplies commandeered for Preston's perfect day. I thought about years of being the family afterthought, the convenient sacrifice, the emotional handmaid. "Going back to what?" I asked. I never had anything to lose except my silence. After he left, I added one final touch to the slideshow, a childhood photo of Preston and me. In it, he's holding a trophy while I stand in the background, out of focus. The caption read, "Some family stories need to be rewritten." The rehearsal dinner was exactly what you'd expect. Expensive, excessive, and designed to make Preston shine. I sat at the furthest table from the wedding party, wedged between a distant cousin and someone's elderly aunt, who kept asking if I was the caterer. "And now," the wedding planner Roman announced with practiced enthusiasm, "we'll do a quick run-through of tomorrow's schedule, including the reception slideshow." My heart skipped. Emily squeezed my hand under the table. "I have the USB with our test segment," I whispered. "Just need to get it to Roman without Lucia seeing." "Leave it to me." Emily stood up, accidentally on purpose spilling wine on her dress. "Oh no! Roman, could you help me find the bathroom?" As they disappeared, I slipped away from the table. Marcus caught my eye from across the room and gave me a subtle nod. The plan was in motion. I found Roman in the venue's control room, already loading various presentations for tomorrow. "This is just to check the formatting," I said, handing him the drive. "The real one will come tomorrow." Roman's eyes sparkled with mischief. "Honey, I've been doing weddings for 10 years. I know a revenge plot when I see one." He winked. "Your secret's safe with me. That bride's been a nightmare." We tested the segment, a seemingly innocent collection of childhood photos that suddenly transitioned into damning evidence. Roman actually clapped. "The timing is perfect," he said. "Right after their first dance, when everyone's emotions are high. Want to see how it looks on the big screen?" "Please!" The test run was flawless. Every screenshot, every bank statement, every cruel text message was crystal clear. Emily wiped away a fake tear. "It's beautiful," she said. "Like a true crime documentary, but with better lighting." Back at the dinner, I found Marcus waiting with a glass of wine. "You seem calm," he said. "Too calm." "I've never been better. That's the scariest thing I've heard all night." He studied my face. "You know, there are other ways to deal with family trauma. Therapy, for instance." "I tried therapy," I replied. "Cost me $3,000. Guess who needed that money for their engagement party?" Before Marcus could respond, Lucia's voice cut through the room like a diamond on glass. "Sarah, what were you doing in the control room?" I turned to find her standing there, her white rehearsal dress practically glowing with privilege. "Just checking the slideshow setup with Roman. Want to make sure everything's perfect for your big day." Her eyes narrowed. "I thought Preston's groomsmen were handling the slideshow." "They are. I'm just helping with technical details." "How helpful." She glanced at the USB in my hand. "What's that?" "Backup music playlist," Emily cut in smoothly. "In case the DJ's system crashes. Sarah thinks of everything." Lucia wasn't convinced, but her mother called her away before she could press further. I let out a breath I hadn't realised I was holding. "That was close," Marcus murmured. "Too close," Emily agreed. "We need a backup plan." I pulled another USB from my purse. "Already have one. The AV tech owes me a favour. I helped his daughter get an internship at my agency. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur of toasts and traditions. Preston gave a speech about family values that made me want to scream. Mum cried about having the perfect son. Dad talked about legacy and pride. I sat quietly, playing my role one last time. Later, as guests were leaving, I overheard Lucia talking to her maid of honour. Something's up with Sarah. She's being too nice. Maybe she's finally accepted her place, her friend replied. Maybe, Lucia frowned. Or maybe she's planning something. Did you see her with that flash drive? What could she possibly do? The friend laughed. It's not like she has any power here. I smiled to myself, thinking of the perfectly curated evidence waiting to be unleashed tomorrow. Power doesn't always look like money or status. Sometimes it looks like truth, carefully documented and precisely timed. Emily drove me home, singing along to break-up songs on the radio. You ready for tomorrow? I've been ready for 28 years. At my apartment, I found a text from Marcus. Last chance to back out. I replied with a photo of my old car keys, the ones I'd had to surrender for Preston's wedding transport. Some things, I wrote, cost too much to let go unpaid. That night I slept better than I had in years, dreaming of justice served not with violence or drama, but with spreadsheets and screenshots. Tomorrow my silence would finally speak, and it would speak volumes. Hold still, I said, carefully zipping up Lucia's wedding dress. The bridal suite buzzed with activity, bridesmaids touching up makeup, photographers snapping candids, my mother hovering like an anxious butterfly. Can you believe it's finally happening? Lucia preened in the mirror. Everything's absolutely perfect. I caught Emily's eye in the reflection. She was posing as my assistant for the day, keeping the backup USB drive safe in her camera bag. Sarah, my mother pulled me aside, her voice thick with emotion. I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. You finally understood your role in all this. Thanks, Mum. I straightened her corsage. I've learned a lot about family lately. That's my girl. She patted my cheek. You know, someday you'll thank us for teaching you about sacrifice. The word hit like a slap. Sacrifice, like my car, like my college fund, like every dream I'd ever had that got redirected to Preston's pocket. Lucia needs her veil, one of the bridesmaids called out. I retrieved the delicate lace veil, worth more than 3 months of my rent, and carefully attached it to Lucia's perfectly styled hair. You know, Lucia mused, adjusting the crystal headpiece, I was just telling Preston how that old car of yours was probably the most useful thing you ever had. At least it served a purpose in the end. The bridesmaids tittered. My mother beamed proudly. You're right, I said, my voice steady. Everything serves its purpose eventually. A knock at the door announced Roman, the wedding planner. 5 minutes, ladies. Sarah, could you help me with some technical details for the reception? Technical details? Lucia's head snapped around. What technical details? Just double-checking the slideshow setup, I said smoothly, making sure your perfect day stays perfect. Outside the bridal suite, Roman pulled me into an empty room. The USB is loaded and tested. Your backup person got the second copy to the AV tech. We're good to go. Any suspicion from the groomsmen? Please, he rolled his eyes. They're all 3 mimosas deep already. They think I'm handling everything. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Last warning. This will change everything. I typed back, that's the point. When I returned to the bridal suite, Preston was outside the door, looking nervous in his designer tuxedo. Sarah, just the sister I needed. He grabbed my arm. Listen, I need you to transfer some money to my account. The wedding car company is demanding final payment before they'll start driving. I don't have any money, Preston. You know that. Come on, there must be something. Your emergency fund? A credit card? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The golden boy, the entitled prince, the black hole that had swallowed every opportunity I'd ever had. No, I said simply. No. His face darkened. After everything we've done for you? You mean everything you've taken from me? What's that supposed to mean? Before I could respond, the wedding coordinator appeared. Places, everyone, we're starting. Preston hurried away, already pulling out his phone to probably call our parents for money. I watched him go, feeling strangely calm. Emily appeared at my side. USBs are in place. Roman's got the timing set. You sure about this? More sure than I've ever been about anything. The ceremony began. I took my place in the back row, not even part of the wedding party. Watched as Lucia floated down the aisle, listened as Preston promised to love and honour, wondering if he even knew what those words meant. My mother cried. My father beamed. The perfect family picture. I thought about the real picture waiting on that USB drive, the one made of bank statements and betrayals, of text messages and tears, of years of being told that love meant giving everything away. The ceremony ended. As guests moved toward the reception, Marcus found me. You look too calm, he said. I feel too calm, I replied, like everything's finally clear. Sarah, my mother's voice cut through the crowd, help Lucia with her dress train, and remember to smile in the photos, even if they're just the family website ones. I nodded, playing the good daughter one last time. In less than 2 hours, the slideshow would start. In less than 2 hours, 28 years of silence would turn into undeniable truth. Coming, Mom, I called back, catching Emily's eye across the room. She held up her phone, showing me the backup USB safely in place. Everything was ready. The stage was set. The truth was loaded and waiting. Time to show them exactly what family loyalty looked like. The reception was in full swing. Preston and Lucia had completed their first dance. The champagne was flowing, and Roman was approaching the microphone with practiced grace. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, please direct your attention to the screens for a special presentation celebrating our happy couple. My heart pounded as the lights dimmed. Emily squeezed my arm. Marcus stood nearby, ready to intervene if needed. The slideshow began innocently enough. Baby photos of Preston, carefully selected school pictures, family vacation snapshots where I was conveniently cropped out. Lucia cooed from her seat of honour. Then the music shifted. The first bank statement appeared on screen. Preston's jaw dropped. What the... He started to rise, but the images kept coming. Screenshots of text messages filled the screen. Sarah's such a doormat. Can't believe she gave up her car for us. Followed by Lucia's response. IKR, Preston says she's basically the family ATM. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's wine glass shattered. Next came the mortgage documents, highlighted and annotated to show how my parents had leveraged their retirement for Preston's vacation home. Then the transfer records from my college fund to Lucia's jewellery account. Turn it off, my mother shrieked, but Roman was mysteriously absent from the controls. The evidence kept mounting. Years of financial abuse laid bare in pristine documentation. Preston's self-made success, exposed as a carefully constructed lie built on stolen opportunities and diverted funds. Who did this? Lucia's voice cut through the shocked murmurs. Her mascara was starting to run. Who did this? My father lunged for the projector cables, but the backup system kicked in seamlessly. Emily's careful planning at work. Then came the audio recordings. Of course we can't help Sarah with her medical bills. My mother's voice filled the room. Preston needs that money for his business venture. She'll understand, my father's voice replied. She always does. Lucia's parents were standing now, their faces red with fury. The wedding planner was pretending to struggle with the controls while actually ensuring everything played perfectly. The final segment began. A montage of Preston's social media posts about being self-made and working hard for success, each one followed by bank records showing where the money really came from. The last slide appeared, a childhood photo of Preston holding a trophy while I stood in the background. The caption read, "The price of a golden boy." The lights came up. The room was dead silent. Preston shot to his feet, his face contorted with rage. "Sarah, you did this!" I stood calmly, feeling oddly peaceful. "I learned from you, brother. Family helps family, remember?" "You ungrateful little—" He started toward me, but Marcus stepped between us. "Don't," Marcus warned quietly. Lucia was screaming at Preston now, her perfect makeup streaking down her face. "You told me your parents were funding our life because they believed in you. You said you were successful." "Baby, I can explain." Preston reached for her, but she recoiled. "Is it true?" she shrieked. "Did you take her college fund for my necklace?" My mother was sobbing, trying desperately to reach the AV controls. "Please, everyone, there's been a mistake." "The only mistake," I said clearly, "was thinking I would stay silent forever." The room erupted into chaos. Guests were recording everything on their phones. Lucia's father was demanding to speak to his lawyer. Preston's groomsmen were awkwardly trying to calm everyone down while clearly fighting their own shock. "You've ruined everything," my father growled, advancing toward me. "After all we've done for you." "Done for me?" I laughed, and the sound silenced half the room. "Would you like me to play the evidence again? I have copies, lots of copies." Emily held up her phone, already streaming. "It's going viral. Tasked Golden Boy debt is trending." Lucia threw her bouquet at Preston's head. "I want an annulment. I will not be married to a fraud." "Sweetheart," my mother grabbed my arm, her voice desperate. "We can fix this. We're family." I gently removed her hand. "Yes, we are. And family deserves the truth, doesn't it?" Preston was still trying to reach me, but Marcus and now several guests stood in his way. The wedding planner was gleefully pretending to accidentally play sections of the slideshow again while attempting to shut it down. "You'll regret this," Preston spat. I smiled, thinking of my empty bank account, my lost car, my years of silence. "No," I said quietly. "For the first time in my life, I don't regret anything." The room continued to dissolve into chaos around me, but I felt only peace. The truth was out. The silence was broken, and it was glorious. "You evil, ungrateful little witch!" Lucia screamed, mascara streaking down her face as she tried to lunge at me. Two of her bridesmaids held her back, though I noticed they were also filming on their phones. "Do you know how much this wedding cost?" "Actually, I do," I replied calmly. "Down to the last penny. Would you like to see the spreadsheet?" The reception hall had devolved into complete chaos. Guests were either filming, arguing, or trying to escape. Roman was gleefully playing selected highlights from the slideshow by accident, while pretending to struggle with the controls. "Sarah," Preston's voice was deadly quiet as he approached. "Take it down. Take it all down right now, and maybe we can fix this." "Fix what, exactly?" I pulled out my phone, opening my evidence folder. The tax evasion, the fraudulent loan applications, the illegal transfers. His face went white. Behind him, Lucia's father was already on the phone with his lawyer. "You wouldn't," Preston whispered. "I already did." I showed him my screen. "The IRS received an anonymous tip about an hour ago. Very detailed, very thorough." He lunged at me then, all pretense of the charming golden boy gone. But Marcus was faster, stepping between us as Emily raised her phone. "Still streaming live," she announced cheerfully. 50,000 viewers and counting. Smile, Preston." My mother grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in painfully. "How could you do this to your brother, to this family?" "Family?" I looked at her hand, then into her eyes. "Was it family when you took my college fund? When you made me sell my car? When you ignored my medical bills? We needed—" "No," I cut her off. "Preston wanted. There's a difference." My father stormed over, his face purple with rage. "You'll never see a penny from us again." "Dad, I haven't seen a penny from you since I was 18. That's kind of the point." Lucia had collapsed into a chair, her perfect white dress crumpled. "The photos are already on Twitter," she wailed, staring at her phone. "My followers are calling us frauds." Technically, Emily chimed in, they're calling you privileged parasites. Frauds is trending second. Preston made another move toward me, but this time several guests stepped in. The truth had turned the tide. People who'd spent years watching me be sidelined were finally seeing the whole picture. "Is it true?" one of Preston's groomsmen asked. "Did you really take her car for the wedding transport?" "And her medical fund for Lucia's necklace," another guest added. Preston's face twisted. "She's my sister. She owed me." "There it is," I said quietly. The truth, at last. My mother was still trying to damage control, running from guest to guest. "It's a misunderstanding. She's always been jealous of her brother's success." "Success," Lucia's father thundered. "You call fraud success? My daughter married a con man." "Former daughter," Lucia sobbed. "I want an annulment." Roman appeared at my side with a champagne flute. "Honey, I've done over 300 weddings and this is by far my favourite. Want to see the viral numbers?" My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Back door's clear if you want to make an exit." But I wasn't done yet. "Mom, Dad," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Remember when you said someday I'd thank you for teaching me about family?" They froze. "Thank you," I continued. "You taught me exactly what family shouldn't be." Preston charged again, but this time multiple guests intercepted him. In the scuffle, someone knocked over the wedding cake. It fell in slow motion, white frosting splattering across Preston's designer suit. "My cake!" Lucia screamed. "Do you know how much that cost?" "Actually," Emily said, pulling up a document on her tablet, "according to these credit card statements, it cost exactly the same amount as Sarah's emergency appendectomy that your parents refused to help with." The room went quiet. "I think," Marcus said into the silence, "this wedding is over." Security was arriving, called by the venue staff. Guests were leaving in waves, their phones still recording. Lucia's parents were demanding their money back. Preston was trying to salvage his social media presence while simultaneously threatening legal action. But I felt light, free. "Sarah," my father called as I headed for the door, "if you walk out now, you're no longer part of this family." I turned back one last time, looking at the wreckage of Preston's perfect day. The evidence of years of manipulation still playing on loop on the giant screens. The truth finally laid bare. "Dad," I said, "I was never really part of it to begin with." Marcus held the door for me. Emily was already calling an Uber. Behind us, the chaos continued, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The truth was out, and it was enough. The sunset painted the scenic overlook in shades of orange and pink as I parked my newly purchased used car, a reliable Honda that Marcus had helped me find. Emily sat beside me, scrolling through the aftermath of what social media had dubbed Ch-Ch Wedding Gate. "The IRS investigation is officially public," she announced. "Preston's business empire is under scrutiny. Lucia's already changed her relationship status to complicated." My phone buzzed with another text from my mother. "Please call us. We can explain everything." I added it to the 100 others I hadn't answered. "Your story hit Reddit's front page," Emily continued. "People are sharing their own family financial abuse stories. You've started a movement." Marcus's car pulled up beside us. He got out holding 3 coffee cups and a newspaper. "You made the local news. Wedding slideshow exposes years of family financial fraud." "How poetic," I said, accepting the coffee. "Any word from Preston?" "His social media's gone dark, but rumour has it he's staying at your parents' house while Lucia's lawyers process the annulment." The wind picked up, carrying away the last warmth of the day. I pulled my jacket closer, thinking about the empty house I'd returned to after the wedding. How the silence had felt different, chosen rather than imposed. "Your parents tried to contact me at work," Emily said. "Wanted me to convince you to take down the evidence." "Too late for that," Marcus replied. "The IRS has copies, so does the bank's fraud department." My phone rang, a number I didn't recognise. When I answered, it was Roman. "Darling, you've ruined me," he said dramatically. "Every bride now wants to know if their wedding slideshow will expose family secrets. I'm booked solid through next year." I laughed and the sound was genuine. "Send me a commission." After hanging up, I noticed Marcus watching me carefully. "And any regrets?" "About exposing the truth? No." I took a sip of coffee. "About losing my family? They were never really mine to lose." Emily's phone chimed. "Oh, this is interesting. Your parents' country club membership has been revoked pending the financial investigation. Apparently, fraud isn't very prestigious." "Preston must be devastated," I said. "No more networking on the golf course." A text from my father arrived. "You've destroyed this family's reputation. I hope you're satisfied." Marcus read it over my shoulder. "Are you satisfied?" I thought about my old car now sold for Preston's wedding transport that was never even used. About my empty college fund, transformed into a necklace Lucia had thrown at Preston during their fight. About years of being told that family meant giving until you had nothing left. "I'm not satisfied," I said finally, "but I'm free. That's better." Emily pulled up another article. "The bank is reviewing all their loans. Your parents might lose the vacation house they bought for Preston." "Good," I said. "Maybe they can use the bus. I hear it builds character." Marcus touched my hand lightly. "You know, most people would have just walked away, started over somewhere new. I tried that. It didn't stop them from taking. Some things need to be faced head on." My phone buzzed again. Preston calling. I put it on speaker. "Happy now?" His voice cracked with fury. "Mum's crying constantly. Dad's reputation is ruined. Lucia's lawyers are circling, all because you couldn't handle not being the favourite." "No, Preston, all because you couldn't handle not taking everything." "I'm your brother. You're a thief who happens to share my DNA. There's a difference." After I hung up, Emily raised her coffee cup. "To karma. To documentation," Marcus added. "To the truth," I finished. The sun had almost disappeared now, taking with it the last traces of the life I'd lived in silence. Tomorrow would bring more fallout, more accusations, more attempts to make me feel guilty for exposing what they'd done. But for now, sitting between two people who had helped me find my voice, I felt something I'd never experienced in all my years of being the family sacrifice. Peace. Emily started the car. "Dinner. I know a place that serves excellent revenge cold." "Actually," I said, "I was thinking of starting a support group for others who've been financially abused by family. The response to my story shows how common it is." Marcus smiled. "Need help setting up the website?" "Always." As we drove away from the overlook, my phone lit up with one last text from my mother. "Family should protect each other's secrets." I typed back my final response. "Family shouldn't create secrets that need protecting." Then I turned off my phone, rolled down the window, and let the night air wash away the last echoes of obligation. They had asked me to give everything I had for family, so I did. I gave them the truth, and I kept my freedom.